Welcome to my channel, Chaos Coder. In today's video, we're diving deep into directives, one of Angular's most powerful features. Directives in Angular are a powerful way to manipulate the DOM and enhance the behavior of your HTML elements. They allow you to add dynamic functionality to your applications with minimal code. In Angular, there are three main types of directives: component directives, structural directives, attribute directives. Component directives, these are directives with a template. They form the building blocks of an Angular application, defined using the component decorator. Every component is a directive that includes a template. Structural directives change the structure of the DOM. The most common ones are ngIf, ngFor, and ngSwitch. ngIf conditionally adds or removes elements. ngFor repeats elements for each item in a collection. ngSwitch displays one element from many choices based on a matching value. Let's see how each of these works one by one. All right, I've already created a new Angular project using the CLI and opened the app.component.html file. I've also added bootstrap styles to the project. Now, let's use ngIf to conditionally display a paragraph. First, let's create a simple paragraph with some text and wrap the word as visible in a code tag so it looks like a variable. Next, add ngIf is visible to conditionally show this paragraph only when the variable is true. I'm also adding some bootstrap classes to give it a nice green alert style. Now let's add a button that will call a function when clicked to toggle the visibility. Go to the component.ts file. Here we define a Boolean variable as visible and set its value to true. Now let's add a function toggle visibility that switches its value from true to false and vice versa. To use ngIf, we need to make sure common module is imported in our file. Now that our code is ready, let's run the Angular application using the CLI. Once it's done, open your browser. Watch this. When I click the button, the paragraph disappears and reappears when I click again. It's not just hidden with CSS, it's actually removed from the DOM. Next, we have ngFor. First, I'm creating an unordered list and giving it the bootstrap class list group for styling. Now, inside the list, I'm using ngFor to loop over an array called items. For each item, a list will be created. Let item of items means, for every element in the items array, assign it to the variable item and repeat this list. We're displaying each item using string interpolation. In the component class, let's define an array called items with a few sample values. Now let's open the browser. Here you can see the list has been generated using our items array. Each item in the array is shown as a separate list item. This is because ngFor loops through the array and creates one list for every item. Finally, let's look at ngSwitch. Let's add a select dropdown. It's bound to a variable called selected color using two-way binding with ngModel. This means when we choose a color from the dropdown, selected color gets updated automatically. Now I'm using ngSwitch to check the value of selected color. If it's red, we show the red message. If it's green, we show green. Same for blue. If no valid color is selected yet, ngSwitch default will display a default message. In the component class, define a variable selected color and initialize it as an empty string. To use ngModel, we need to import forms module. Now let's see the result in the browser. When I select red, it shows you selected red in red. If I choose green, the message turns green. Same for blue. If no color is selected, we get the default gray message. Please select a color. ngSwitch is great when you want to display different templates or messages based on a single variable's value. Next, we have attribute directives. These change the appearance or behavior of an element, component, or another directive. Do not change the structure of the DOM. Most common attribute directives are ngClass and ngStyle. First, we have ngClass, which is used for applying dynamic classes. Now let's see how to use ngClass to dynamically change text color based on a Boolean value using a toggle button. Here, let's add a bootstrap button with a click event. When clicked, it toggles the value of as active between true and false. Now, we're using ngClass to conditionally apply classes based on the isActive value. If is active is true, it adds text success, making the text green. If is active is false, it adds text danger, making the text red. In the TS file, we simply define as active and set it to true initially. The text will start green and change each time we click the button. Now let's see it in action. When I click the button, is active toggles between true and false. When it's true, the text is green. When it's false, the text becomes red. This is a simple and powerful way to dynamically update your UI using ngClass. You can use the same approach to change styles, show hide elements, or switch icons based on state, all using a single Boolean. Next, we have ngStyle. It is for applying inline styles conditionally. Now let's see how to use ngStyle with a range input to dynamically change the font size of text in Angular. Here, we're using an HTML range slider with ngModel bound to a variable called font size. The range goes from 10 to 50. As we slide it, the value of font size updates in real time. Next, use ngStyle to set the font size dynamically, and we append .px to apply the value in pixels. We're also displaying the current size inside the paragraph using interpolation. In the TS file, we declare the font size variable and set it to a default value, like 16.
Now let's try this in the browser. As I move the slider, the text size increases or decreases instantly. The current font size is also shown in the text, and it updates live with the slider. This is a simple way to make your UI more interactive using ngStyle and ngModel together. ngStyle is great for setting styles dynamically, based on user input or component logic. And when combined with sliders, you can build interactive UI features easily. All right, that's it for this video on Angular Directives. We talked about components, structural directives, and attribute directives. If you found this helpful, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more Angular tutorials. Got any questions? Just drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.